Bringing us home today is Advanced Metals, ASX code AVM. Advanced Metals is a precious metals explorer with a growing portfolio of high-grade silver and gold projects across Mexico and Australia. The company has recently reported exceptional exploration results and is advancing multiple active drilling programs and is well funded to execute these activities. Joining me today is Adam McKinnon, who's the CEO and Managing Director. Adam, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'll try to keep it relatively brief. I know it's been a lot of presentations, been really interesting. Thanks for that. AVM is relatively new to the silver and gold space. We're relatively unknown as a silver force, but we really should be known, and I'll tell you why. In 2025, we had an absolutely incredible year. I started in January last year. We had a $7 million market cap. At the end of the year, we were up over 70 million. During the last sort of 18 months, we've made 4 key acquisitions, 3 in Mexico and 1 high-grade gold acquisition in Victoria. Starting off in Mexico, I want to stress that these assets were picked up at a time before the silver took off. So we've now got foreign estimates in Mexico totaling 100 million ounces silver equivalent. We picked those 100 million ounces up for less than 8 million Australian dollars. So really cheap ounces if you want to look at it like that. What's really incredible about these Mexican assets is just how much potential they've got. Our first acquisition, and actually our smallest, 17 million ounces silver equivalent, has a spectacular grade of 570 grams per tonne silver equivalent, and that's the one we've done the most work on to date. We've set up a team in Mexico, almost entirely of Mexican nationals, which is really important when you're operating in this part of the world. You want that on-ground experience. Last year, around May, we kicked off our maiden drilling program at a project called Yaquivo, which is in the state of Chihuahua, very close to some other well-known silver mines owned by some Canadian majors. So it's a prolific area in the Sierra Madre Belt. We have instantly demonstrated that the small resources that are currently there are fully open. Most recently, we've hit up to 2,600 grams silver equivalent at depth. Probably more important than the drilling that we've done recently is actually the realisation that the drilling that was done previously there was not well assayed. What we discovered when we went in and looked at the data was that less than 45% of the drilling had actually been assayed. We saw an instant opportunity to go in and actually add value by doing low-cost resampling exercise. We've actually just completed that exercise. Our very first batch of samples came back with stuff that they left behind with up to 850 grams per tonne silver equivalent. It was really extreme. At least 13 of the holes we've looked at so far have high-grade mineralisation in them that were not sampled. Just recently, we've put out an announcement basically talking about a different approach to looking at Yaquivo. Remembering this is our smallest asset, our 17 million ounces, one that we picked up for $550,000 Canadian. So a really cheap asset. When we did this resampling, what we're seeing emerging now are these very wide intercepts, and in one case up to 144 metres at 93 grams per tonne silver equivalent. That is a completely different approach or a scale to what the original resource was done at. Typically, the resource is 2 to 4 metres wide. When you're talking about those sorts of widths, the potential to add ounces here very quickly and very cheaply is quite massive. We are planning to do a resource upgrade here from the NI 43-101 to JORC, and that's expected in the next 4 to 5 weeks. We've kicked off that process this week. Just touching on our other two projects that we're now looking at in Mexico as well. If I go down into Durango, the state of Durango, we have a project called Gavilanes. We're about to start drilling there in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Durango sits very close to First Majestic's San Dimas mine, which is an absolutely world-class area. It's produced over its life 12 million ounces of gold and somewhere in the order of 600 million ounces of silver. We're about 23 kilometres away. That particular asset has 22 million ounces currently, but only 9,000 metres of drilling. So we're getting in there. We're going to do some extensional drilling, and we're going to look to convert that resource to JORC as well. And then our last asset in Mexico is our biggest, 61 million ounces silver equivalent, and our most recently acquired. We picked that up in a place called Guadalupe y Calvo, which I sometimes abbreviate to GYC, just to make it a little bit easier. GYC was picked up from Endeavour Silver, another Canadian company, a non-core asset for them at 61 million ounces, but pretty significant for us. We're in the process of trying to go through the community and environmental approvals to get the drilling underway there as well, and we'll look to convert that resource as well. So we've got a near-term plan to take our 100 million ounce endowment to 200 million ounces, and we think that will take somewhere in the order of 1 to 2 years. When we look at our current market cap, which I should have mentioned at the start, we're sitting at the moment at about $66 million. We've got it at the end of the last quarter, we had $11 million in the bank, giving us an EV of about $55 million. 100 million ounces, simple maths. Per ounce, we're looking at an EV of 55 cents per ounce of silver equivalent. So as Dean was talking about before, that is very, very cheap silver, especially in the current market. So very, very excited about Mexico. Got a great team working there, and very rapid, a clear plan to very rapidly expand the resources. That's all separate to some great exploration we have underway in Victoria. At the start of last year, we picked up an asset near the town of Beechworth in Victoria called the Myrtlefoot Project. It came from another Canadian listed entity called Serra Energy Metals. Serra actually made a discovery there in 2021, but very quickly lost interest in Australia and pivoted into critical metals and have since completely pivoted out of mining, but that's been to our great benefit. This particular deposit was historically mined 1870s, 1880s, and it was mined at about 30 grams to the tonne. There had been no modern drilling on this deposit before 2021, and when Serra came in, they drilled it and hit up to 2,000 grams per tonne in the first 3 drill holes that they drilled. We, last year, drilled a number of very, very strong results, the best of which 7.5 metres at 55 grams, which compares to some of the other great drilling that's been done in Victoria in recent times, like Southern Cross, Falcon Metals, etc. We most recently have demonstrated that this system, the high-grade system, extends from surface to at least 500 metres depth, and we've actually got 2 rigs on site at the moment. The whole trend at Myrtlefoot, at Happy Valley, the prospect's called Happy Valley, runs for 13 kilometres. Up until recently, about 120 metres of that strike, of that 13 kilometres, had actually been tested. And part of our aim now is to step out and see whether these high-grade systems actually repeat along that strike. We're currently in the process of thinking about how big could it be and how easily might we be able to process it. So just to sum up, 100 million ounces of silver in Mexico, around 55 cents per ounce EV equivalent, and exposure to extremely high grade, potentially significant resources in Victoria as well. If anyone wants any more information, I'm happy to reach out. I'll be around at the conference for the next 3 days as well. Happy to catch up with anyone. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.